beautiful yogis, welcome back to your mat. I hope you've all had an amazing day, or potentially you're just starting it with this. This is a really beautiful class for the morning. Anyway, it's a great class to reset at night time too. We're going to start on all fours today. So I'm going to ask that you guys set up your hands really well. Spread the fingers out nice and wide. As always, grip the fingertips into the mat. And just start to work on pushing the floor away as much as you can. Don't round the upper spine, but just make sure you're nice and engaged. Keep the upper body nice and strong, and then lift your right knee in line with your right hip. From there, start to create a circle, bringing your foot to the sky, and then bring your knee back towards your hip. Knee back towards your knee. Then slow and steady out to the side, keep that circle going. Now for me, I feel pretty uncoordinated here. I'm not sure why. I do this a lot. It's really good for the hip girdle because it's nice and active. If you feel uncoordinated as well, welcome to my little club. But we want to work on all of those little sticky and grainy bits. So just take one more circle on this side, and then we'll swap over. Make sure you're still nice and active through the hands. We don't want to dump all of our weight over to our knee that's grounded. And once you feel as if you're ready, start to create the circles on the other side. Now, as always, we'll take a moment in stillness for our breath. Just start to focus on the hip girdle at the moment. My left side feels far worse than my right. Again, if you're the same, that's totally fine. It's normal. We'll just take one more here. Really good. And then from there, come back to your hero's pose. Spread your knees nice and wide apart. Land in child's pose. After finding that slight activity through our hip girdles, I ask that you sink really deep into this posture. Start to focus on the breath. And use this moment in stillness to hear it. Hear the quality of your breathing. Strange concept, I know, the quality of your breathing, but I ask that you begin to connect to it as best as you can. Take just 2 more rounds of breath in your child's pose. Gratitude to be on our mat. So glad you guys have taken this time for yourself. Last exhale. Come back up to your all fours. We're going to create a little bit more movement through the hips, but passive now. You'll see while we're doing this in a second. Just start to take really big circles with the body and flare your hips off and out to the side. Now for some, the sensation might be loudest from side to side. Just start to create that really fluid and almost intuitive movement. Seems a little ridiculous, right? But what's actually happening is the head of your femur is moving inside of the acetabulum, and that's your hip socket. Really important. Again, we work out all of those sticky and grainy bits. Just one more round. No judgment about how you look. It does not matter. And then come back. From here, I'll get you guys to take a step up to the top of your mat. This is going to be our starting posture today. A little different to normal. But Urdhva Hastasana is where our flow starts. But every time we land in this shape at the front of our mat, I'm going to ask that you take a wider stance, that your feet are just outside of your hips, heels coming in towards the midline, feet coming out a little bit further. Let's take Urdhva Hastasana as you breathe in. Lift up through your hands. Malasana Yogi squat as you breathe out. Now this posture is fantastic for our hips. And this is a part of the body that a majority of our issues or complications come from. For a majority of us, we end up with spine issues, back issues, because we have hip issues. So let's work those out together today. Make sure that the knees and toes are in line, the spine is really straight, and you're drawing your shoulder blades down and then forward onto the rib cage. See if you can figure that one out. By connecting to the body through all of these small alignment cues is such a gift we get given from yoga. So let's take our last breath out here. As you breathe in, leave your right foot up the front of the mat, plant your hands down, take a graceful step back and land in your lizard lunge. Hips energetically are moving down and forward. Squeeze your right glute and then lift up and forward through the collarbones. Your breath is going to be super important today. So again, redirect your focus back there. Let's just take one more big breath in, broaden through the chest, and then as you exhale, Skandasana over the back of the mat. Your Skandasana can be all the way up here. If that's the case, you might want to move up from lizard and then back towards the back of your mat. Or if you have a low Skandasana, see if you can move low. And this is where the yoga is going to suit your body. Not too concerned with what I look like. I actually don't matter. I'm just here as a point of reference. And start to find your variation, but again, work on a straight spine here, knees and toes in line. We'll take that last breath out. Extended arrowhead as you breathe in. Start to push that back foot into the earth. A whole heap of fancy footwork. Extend through the arms, belly off of the thigh. Make sure that your left leg is engaged. Squeeze your left glute and keep reaching through the hands. This slight core engagement is going to be really important as we move through the motions. So start to build that connection with the core. Let's take one more big breath in. Virabhadrasana 2 as you breathe out. The control is going to be in the front leg. As you move from your extended arrow into warrior 2, keep the knee on top of the ankle. Control that with the hip girdle. Land just a little deeper. Let's take our last breath out. Prana pull as you breathe in. Feel that sweet release in the front thigh. Warrior 2, land a little deeper as you breathe out. Stork pose, try not to use momentum. Lift up through that left leg. Open eagle as you breathe out. Start to externally rotate through the left hip, placing the outer left ankle on top of the right thigh, knee. Sitting bones up and back, chest forward. Again, very similar to our lizard lunge. We're working through the whole hip girdle today. And the important part about that core activation is we're never dumping into our hips. We've always got that stability building on top of it. Let's take our last breath out and know you can feel your right leg. Lift that left knee up, breathe in. Feet to floor, hip width, hands at heart center, breathe out. We'll move on to the next side. Slow and steady, Urdhva Hastasana, breathe in, find active length, tailbone tucks. Skandasana, drop really slowly into this squat and see if you can maintain a straight spine the whole way through. Keep lifting up through the crown of the head. And once again, see if you can start to cultivate that connection with the body. Regardless of whether you have a spiritual side to yourself or not, being connected with our body allows us to move safely. Feel for things that are lying underneath of the surface that usually go by without us even thinking. Start to feel how your hips are in this yogi squat, malasana. Together we'll take our last breath out. Leaving the left foot where it is, step the right foot back, lizard lunge. Hips down and forward. Energetically take from there, squeeze the right glute, up and forward through the chest. Come back to your breath. Start to observe the difference from one side to the other. No judgment, none at all. Just observing. We'll take that last breath in. High transition or low transition Skandasana over the back of our mat. Again, knees and toes in line, crown of head up. Lift up and out of your hips. Even here, we should have this gentle core engagement. Keep finding that length. See if you can stay connected to the body without the need to change it or run away from the sensation. Take that last breath out. Extended arrowhead, ground that right foot, fancy footwork, hands reaching forward. And for so many of us, we're trying to avoid or change the sensation, like we try to avoid and change things that happen externally to ourselves in our life. Yoga's got a whole lot of lessons, not just for our mat, but also for our everyday living. You have control of your breath. Accept that by breathing in one more time. And taking that slow and controlled transition to Virabhadrasana 2. Land deep. You control that too. But once you've chosen how deep you are in this posture, please come back to your breath. Control the exhale. Last breath out. Prana pull to breathe in. Really slow and steady. Virabhadrasana 2, breathe out, stay strong, transition, stork pose, right knee rises. Open eagle, that external rotation, flex the right toes, sitting bones down and back, collarbones broad. When we begin to realize we have very little control, sometimes that can be a triggering thing. But it's on this mat, we learn to lose that control with grace and ease. Just breathe here, guys. Let's take our last breath out. Right knee to rise as you breathe in. Foot steps to hip width as you breathe out. Keep controlling your breath. You've got it. Let's flow together. Hands rise, Urdhva Hastasana, breathe in. Sit slow and steady in your Malasana, exhale. Right foot stays, left steps back with grace. Fill up the belly. Continue that movement as you exhale, Skandasana. Extended arrow, reach forward, breathe in. Virabhadrasana 2, stand strong as you breathe out. Prana pull to rise, this bit's like a dance, enjoy it. Virabhadrasana 2, exhale. Slow and steady, control the movement, stork pose, breathe in, wobbles are good, I'm right there with you. Open eagle, flex the toes, sit down and back. Rise through that right knee as you breathe in. Step to hip width as you exhale. Urdhva Hastasana, that active length. Imprint the soles of your feet, lift through the hands. Sit down in that yogi squat, maintain a straight spine. Left foot to stay, right to step back this time, inhale. Skandasana, control that breath out, move slow. Extended arrow, stability through the hips and the core as you move through the fancy footwork. Virabhadrasana 2, you guys know where we're going now. Lift up to breathe in. Breathe out to ground down. Buoyancy through the right knee, ride the breath in. Sit down and back, open eagle, flex your right toes as you breathe out. Rise back up, inhale guys, you've got it. Step to hip width as you exhale. Straight away, let's go again. Hands rise up guys, take a big breath in as they rise. Sit in your yogi squat, straight spine the whole way. Right foot stays, ground the hands, step back slow. Skandasana, maybe your transition is a little lower now, you're warm. As slow as you can, extend your arrow, keep your belly strong. Control through that right hip, Virabhadrasana. Rise up to breathe in, enjoy the release. Ride that breath out, down in space. Rise through the left knee, lift up as high as you can. Slow and steady, open eagle, sit down and back. Feel that left hip rise back up. Inhale, foot to floor at hip width as you breathe out. Left side, hands will rise, tuck the tailbone. Sit in your yogi squat, take your whole breath to a right. Keep controlling the breath as you step your right foot back. Empty the belly for Skandasana, low and slow. Reaching the hands forward. Inhale, yogis, we're all there together. Virabhadrasana 2, shoulders soft, arms strong. Rise up, hands touch at the top of your breath in. Ground just a little deeper like your warrior, breathe out. Right knee rises, let it lift, take a long breath in. Slow and steady, hips down and back, chest up, open eagle. Rise back up, ground the left foot to lift the right knee. Foot to floor, hands to heart center as you exhale. Guys, really slowly bring your hips down to the earth. Take a seat on your mat. From here, bring the soles of your feet out nice and wide. Place all of the weight in your hands and simply just windscreen wipe the knees from side to side. I'm going to encourage that you guys close down your eyes. Start to draw your attention to your hip girdle, the hip socket. Start to feel the internal rotation in comparison to the external rotation. After opening up through that hip girdle, and just feel the fluidity as you move from right to left. One more time. Slowly come back to center. Gomukhasana is where we're headed next. Your left heel, bring that to the outer right hip, knee in the midline. Your right knee lands on top of your left. If this shape is not accessible for you, straighten out your left leg and just simply stack your right knee on top of your left. I really want to encourage you guys to ensure you've got both sitting bones on the earth. If you don't, please don't fold into this. If you really want to fold, straighten out your bottom leg if one hip is peeled off the earth. For those of you who are ready, fold as you please. But we never want to fold out of skew hips. And when we flex, extend, or rotate through the spine, we want our hips to be even and square. And that's going to keep our spine nice and healthy. And guys, just start to feel the outer hips, whatever they're offering you right now. And this particular part of my body is unusually tight. It's just obviously the way I lay at night, something I do in my everyday life, potentially the way that I sit. And it's taken a really long time to accept that a lot of those things happen unconsciously. As best as I can, I accept what I can. And I choose to make a difference in my practice. So guys, just start to control the breath out, control the heart rate. Just land here. Take just one more breath out. Slowly unravel through the spine. Let's swap over sides. And just ensure if you are in the other variation this time, your right leg is on the earth and straight, left knee stacked on top of right. Personally, this side is a lot tighter than the other. Here comes that acceptance. And then I make my decision to sit up instead of fold. To do what I can to make a difference. Without the need to force. Without the need to judge. Just accepting what I can and can't do. Start to slow down through the mind. Use the breath as an anchor. And just one more round of breath here. Slowly begin to rise up. Bring your legs out nice and wide. Sitting bones back, crown of head up, toes flexed. Once you feel as if you're ready, slowly offer the chest towards the earth. Now for some of us in this posture, yours will simply be bringing the hands to the earth and energetically drawing the chest through the shoulders. That will be enough. For some, your body will allow the space to drop down to the forearms, or maybe your chest or head is close to the earth. Wherever you are on this journey, just be there. Just one last round of breath. Slowly peel up, feel that sensation become softer. Bring both legs out in front. Paschimottanasana, take the sitting bones back, the chest forward. Maybe you wrap your peace fingers around your big toes and activate your chest towards your toes. Now for me, this is where my first point of sensation is, so I'm going to hang out here. Allow my body to become familiar with this sensation rather than forcing my way down and forcing the stretch. I want to ease our body into it, nurture our body into it. I really encourage you to do the same. Two more rounds of breath. One last breath in. And sigh that breath out. Begin to rise up. Lay down on your back. We now land in our last and final posture, Shavasana. Close your eyes. Soften your jaw. In this moment, commit to stillness. Allow that breath to be fluid, but the mind and body to be as still as possible. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Start to breathe deeper in and out of your belly. Slowly roll yourself to your favorite side. And guide the body up to a comfortable seat. Land, close down your eyes. Hands come into Anjali Mudra, bow your head to your hands. As always, we acknowledge the practice. We acknowledge each other and we acknowledge ourselves. Namaste. Thank you for practicing, yogis. We'll see you soon.